I've had the Oura Ring Gen 4 for about a month and a half now. Let's talk about it. So the prices vary depending on the color you pick. I picked the Stealth Black version, which retails at $399, and the least expensive version is the Silver, which is $299. Now, the order process on the Oura website is pretty interesting because a ring is not something that you can just buy. You have to get proper sizing for it. And so what Oura does is that they offer these Oura sizing kits for free when you buy the Oura Ring 4. And so what happens is you get this kit with all the different ring sizes. And so what they recommend is that you wear like this kind of plastic fake version of the ring for 24 hours to make sure that your size is actually your size and that you're comfortable with it. It's pretty interesting. As someone who doesn't really wear rings, I learned that the size of your finger kind of changes throughout the day. Like sometimes it can swell up, and so you can have a ring size that fits right in a certain moment, and then later on in the day it actually gets really tight because your fingers swell up. That's the type of thing that you want to be conscious of when you're using the sizing kit to make sure that you select the right size. If anybody's curious, I was a size ring 11. And so once you know your size, you go back to the Oura website, enter the size of the ring that you want, and they actually ship out your ring. Oh, and one thing I missed is that Oura actually recommends you wear your ring on your pointer finger or your index finger, but you can actually wear it on your middle finger or your ring finger as well. I happen to kind of switch back and forth between my pointer finger and my middle finger all the time throughout the day. I don't know, it's a weird habit. Like sometimes it just feels more comfortable on one or the other, and I just like flip them back and forth. It seems to work fine on the app. I haven't had any issues. And so then you get your Oura Ring delivered, and pretty much it comes with the ring itself and a charger for the ring. One thing that's pretty interesting is that since the charger is specific for that size of the ring, you can't just use any Oura charger with your Oura Ring. You have to use the charger that is specific to your ring size. So for example, my girlfriend also bought an Oura Ring, but I can't use her charger because she has a smaller ring size. And so I think that's an interesting thing to be aware of in case you ever have to replace your charger. Also worth noting, the charger uses USB-C, which is great. Now we can go through some of the actual features of the Oura Ring. So this is what the Oura app looks like. It tells me the active calorie burn that I have for the day. Then it has my readiness. It has all these different kind of feature categories, which is readiness, sleep, stress, heart rate, circles. We're gonna go through all of these kind of one by one, and I'll give you my thoughts on them. One of the features that makes most people wanna use an Oura Ring are the sleep features, which is pretty cool. As you can tell, I did not have great sleep last night, so I got a score of 78. Last night was one of my friend's birthdays, so I stayed out pretty late celebrating and hanging out with them. And so obviously you'll see that in all the categories here, it's not terrible, but the one that suffered the most was the timing category, because the Oura Ring, after you use it for a while, it kind of understands what is your like ideal time for you to fall asleep. And whenever you kind of go outside of your usual time, it like dings you a bit on your sleep score. And so that's what happened last night. You know, I usually go to sleep kind of between 10 and 11 these days, but last night I went to sleep like at 1 or 2 in the morning. And so moving along here on the sleep section, you'll see that it has all the different contributors that contribute to your daily sleep score, which is total sleep, which is the amount of time that you fell asleep, efficiency, which is an interesting metric. It's kind of like comparing how much time were you asleep versus how much time you were in bed. So it seems like yesterday, got home really late. As soon as I got home, straight to sleep, knocked out. And so my efficiency was actually really good. Then there's restfulness, which for me was optimal last night. It's pretty much like how much are you moving in bed? Like how often are you being disturbed in your sleep? And sometimes that's just a product of like you moving a lot. And so when you move a lot at night, that can wake you up and that can interfere with your restfulness. And so that's what this metric means. And so for any other contributors, it's cool because you can just click on them and learn a little bit more about what the exact like metric is and what it's measuring. So if at any point it falls below the optimal level, you can click in, learn more about it, and try to make improvements. And so now scrolling down in the sleep section here, you get to the key metrics section, which just highlights some of the key metrics. So the total time you were asleep for me last night was 6 hours and 52 minutes out of the 7 hours and 19 minutes that I was in bed. It also gives you your resting heart rate each night. And if we go back here and scroll down to the details, you can see kind of how much time you spent in each of the different sleep stages. At the top, it has a little calendar thing that says today, and that's because it's showing my metrics for today. But if I continue to swipe right, you'll see that it gives me my metrics for all the different days. You'll see on weekdays, my sleep scores tend to be better than on weekends, because on weekends I kind of fall outside of my routine. I might have some drinks with friends, I might stay up super late, and because of that, my sleep scores tend to suffer. Now, before I move on to some of the other categories, I want to say that sleep has actually been one of the biggest difference makers for me with the Oura Ring. Seeing kind of these statistics on a daily basis motivates me and inspires me to go to sleep earlier and try to like improve my sleep scores. And obviously, it's not just about seeing these numbers on your phone. It's about feeling better in real life. One real life example of how it's actually helped me feel better is that one of my goals this year has been to try and read more. And so I've been trying to do that during my commutes to and from work. But my biggest struggle was to read in the mornings because I would open up that book on the train and I would just feel so tired. And so by the time I was reading for just, 5 minutes, I would just feel like I can't read, and I'll just like close up the book and start like resting my eyes because I was so tired. And so now that I've been trying to improve my sleep using the Oura Ring, I find that on the days where I do sleep really well, it's a lot easier for me to stay up and actually read throughout the entirety of the commute in the morning. And I know how it sounds, it's a little Captain Obvious, like, yo, if you sleep better, you won't be as tired in the morning. I get that. I think we all know that. But something about having the Oura Ring and being able to read the metrics and see where exactly I need to improve just helps me do that more consistently. I don't know. Cool. So now we'll move on to the activity section of the Oura Ring. To be honest, this is one of the sections that I use the least just because I'm very used to just using kind of the Apple Watch version of this. And so similar to the Apple Watch, you get to set a goal and like track your progress against your daily goals, see how many calories you burned, how often you're active throughout the day, the steps that you take, and all that stuff. One thing that I think is pretty cool that the Oura Ring has that Apple Watch doesn't is that because you're like wearing it on your ring, I don't know how it tracks movement, but it's able to pick up on like if I'm just walking around my house doing chores and maybe like, it gets my heart rate up because I'm just moving around doing stuff, it might pick that up and register it as an activity. And so you'll see here in this instance, I went in and I labeled it as housework. But like I said, activity is not kind of one of the things that I really needed an Oura Ring for, just because I felt like my Apple Watch does that pretty well already. And so I don't spend too much time in the activity section of the app. So after activity, the next category of metrics that your Oura Ring measures is your daily stress. Well, actually they call it daytime stress. And so the way this daytime stress category works is that every 15 minutes, it kind of takes account of a bunch of different metrics to assign to you a stress level. And so there are 4 different stress levels that you'll see here. The least stressed is restored, which is actually like you're charging up, like it's the full opposite of restored. Then there's relaxed, then there's engaged, and then there's full on stressed. If I kind of scroll through some of my days, you'll see kind of what this chart looks like, and you'll see the background of the app kind of changes a little bit when you have really stressful days. So Friday was stressful, Thursday was, more balanced. Each day it kind of like assigns you like an overall like score of like how stressed you were. Usually you want to try and manage your stress enough that it's a balanced day, but work is work. We all have a lot to do, and so there's going to be stressful days as well. And so for example, on Friday I had a pretty stressful day, but the weekend was more balanced, and then so far today I've been kind of relaxed because I'm talking to you guys. And also on the stress page, it measures like how much time you've been stressed in one day and how much time you felt restored in one day. And restored is a pretty interesting metric. It's when your body is like really kind of chill and zenned out and actually charging back up. So you're not really using any energy, you're kind of getting energy, which is pretty cool. Some days I have a lot of restored energy if I'm just kind of relaxing, watching TV, not doing anything stressful. And then there's some days where I'm running around and I have 0 minutes of restored time. And I think that happens. For example, yesterday, you'll see that I had 2 hours and 15 minutes of stress and 2 hours and 15 minutes of restored. So I guess that balances out, which is why it says I had a balanced day. I'm gonna try to move a little bit quicker now. So the next category here is heart rate, which pretty simple. It just measures your heart rate consistently throughout the day. And so the unique thing that Oura does with the heart rate is that it matches it up against kind of some of the other categories. So it says, hey, your heart rate was really low, and during this time you had restorative time. Or your heart rate was really high, but it's because you were doing cardio, there was some activity. Or your heart rate was high, and it's really just because you were really stressed. And so that's the cool thing about the heart rate in Oura, that it gives you a little bit more detail. It's not just like your heart rate, but it ties it back to some of those other categories that it also tracks. And then last but not least, Oura assigns you this overall daily readiness score, which says how ready for the day you are. And so that's what is up here. It says that I have a readiness score of 80 today. And it gives you kind of some insights, which I'm sure is like some like AI, LLM based insight, similar to what like Strava does now. And so when you click into the readiness, it shows you all the different contributors, and the way I see it is that it picks some of the most important contributors from all the other different categories that we already reviewed. And so it has resting heart rate, it has some of the sleep scores, it has some of the activity scores, but then it also has some different ones which are like HRV balance and body temperature, which uniquely get tracked in here. And one thing that's pretty cool is that if it senses that your body temperature is like off, apparently Oura Ring is really good at predicting when you're about to get sick. Oura Ring might catch when you're about to get sick before you even notice that you're about to get sick, which is pretty cool. And so this is what my readiness scores look like today. One thing that's pretty interesting about the readiness scores and the sleep scores and the stress is how it responds to kind of you like leaving your routine. And like I said, like if you stay out late one night or if you have a few drinks, like you'll see that automatically, obviously your body responds to it and your Oura Ring picks it up. For example, on Friday night, I had a few beers with friends. I stayed up a little bit later than usual. And of course, that was reflected in my Saturday readiness, which was a lot lower than what I had for the rest of the week. And the reason why is because there are things that get a little bit out of whack in your body when you stay out later than usual or you have a few drinks. But it's pretty cool to see that it can pick all of that stuff up. Another feature that's pretty cool is this circles feature, which allows you to share your activity, sleep, and readiness scores with your friends. By the way, it's worth noting that when you first get your Oura Ring, like in the first 1, 2, 3 weeks, you don't have all these categories available to you yet because it takes the Oura Ring some time to like adjust to your body and understand kind of what's normal for your body, given that everyone is a little bit different. One example of this for me is that despite the fact that I've had the Oura Ring already for a month and a half, it's still calibrating my chronotype. So I think this chronotype is supposed to tell you like what type of person you are. Like, are you most effective in the morning? Are you most effective at nights, during the day? And so that's one of the features that I actually don't even have access to yet because the Oura Ring is still learning about me. Now going back to this like home screen of the Oura app, if you go to the top right, you'll see this circular kind of icon. When you click on that, you get to see the battery life of the Oura Ring. I think the Oura Ring is supposed to be quoted to last from 5 to 8 days. I've never had any issues with the battery life of the Oura Ring in the time that I've had it. I have seen on Reddit some people complaining about the Oura Ring's battery life, but I haven't had any issues. What I personally do is that a few times a week before I hop into the shower in the morning, I just put the Oura Ring to charge for those 15 minutes or so. By the time I come out, put the Oura Ring back on, and it's never ever ran out of battery with me doing that. And so it works pretty fine. And so as long as you have some part of your routine where you can maybe quickly work that in to just put it to charge for 10 or 15 minutes, I think you should be fine. And so that's my experience with the Oura Ring so far. Honestly, I really like it. But I do have to caveat this by saying that I am a bit of a data nerd. And so I love being able to see all those numbers. And I love having all these different products and applications that sync to my health app. And so that I can have like a nice kind of consolidated place where I have all my health information. I obviously have the Apple Watch that syncs to the health app. I have a Peloton, I have Within scales, I have a bunch of stuff that kind of goes straight to my health app. And having everything in one place just brings me some joy. And now Oura Ring helps add to that. Also, one thing I didn't talk about because it doesn't really apply to me is that Oura Ring also has a ton of women's health metrics that you get access to if you're a woman and you're using an Oura Ring. I have to say before I go that despite the fact that I really like all of these features, the worst thing about Oura Ring is that it has, like everything else these days, a monthly subscription of $5.99 or $6.99 per month, something like that. And honestly, it just sucks that everything we buy has some sort of monthly subscription attached to it now. You pay the $3.99, you pay the $2.99 or however much, then you have to pay an additional $6 a month forever to continue to properly use it. And that just sucks. The good thing about it is that you can pay that monthly subscription with your HSA or FSA account. And so that's how I have it set up, but still, it is very annoying that we have to do that. If you enjoyed my take on the Oura Ring, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new around here. Much love. Peace out.